Good morning, dear friends. Here we are with another study of the book Right Path by the Spirit Emmanuel through the blessed mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. What a blessing to be with you this morning. And we thank our dear Emmanuel and our dear Chico Xavier for their work, bringing us 400 plus books. And this is one of them. This is the book Right Path, published in 1971. The edition I have is sixth edition of the book. And we are going to talk today about our activities with Jesus. Chapter 54, believe it or not, we've been together for 54 weeks. Is titled by Emmanuel, More with Jesus. Let's take a look at what Emmanuel means when he's talking about doing more, being more with Jesus. He starts the chapter by saying, quote, it's unreasonable to demand from any of us untimely transformations. However beautiful and edifying the lessons of a moral perfection are, it is necessary to accommodate ourselves with the spirit of sequence in the march of time so that we may become apt to them, gradually adapting ourselves to the principles that preach to us. It will, however, clearly be possible to improve ourselves with more urgency and security if we adopt the practice of remaining with Jesus more and more each day, unquote. This is the first part of this beautiful day. And how connected do you feel with the Master? Are we taking time during our daily lives to stop and be as a human being, leave the human doing aside for a little bit, taking a deep breath, feeling yourself present in that moment so you can pray, you can feel connected to your guardian angel, and most important with Christ, who is the governor of the planet, has granted us the opportunity of being together, but not only that, who directs the spiritual evolution of all of us in our planet Earth. How connected do you feel with Jesus today? 0 being not connected, 10 very well connected. We're probably somewhere in between. Even during the day, we may feel a lot of connection with the Master sometimes, and later we'll feel less connected because we'll be more connected to the physical needs of this physical life. Yet he's giving us a good touchstone for today. He's saying we should not expect untimely transformation. I'll wake up tomorrow as a pure spirit. That's not how it goes. If we look at the evolution of everything and how the cycles of nature work, you don't wake up one day it's summer or one day it's winter. It's a gradual transition. So is with us. And he's saying here, however beautiful and edifying the lessons of moral perfection are, it's necessary to understand the spirit of sequence. First thing, second thing, third thing. So the experiences and lessons of moral perfection we are having today are built in such a way that today you're allowed to go through what you're going through. 10 years ago, you may not have been able to have this inner strength to undergo the same types of problems that you have today. If you look back, even within this lifetime, the education, the moral progress and improvement is gradual. Even the science of the earth knows that science is gradual. We build on each other's discoveries and publications. And when we go through school, or we put our children in school, they don't start learning calculus. They start with ABC, 1, 2, 3, right? So it's gradual, even in the physical sense and intellectual acquirement of abilities. When you learn something, you start from simple and then more complex. So the spirit of sequence here, he says, these principles can teach us something. So I would like to grow in my connection with Christ. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow, unlikely, and Christ will be in my room with me. I hope he is. It's more likely that today I will trust more, connect with my guardian angels. I'll do volunteer. I'll remove the overworked, overscheduling activities from me and my family members' schedules. And then I'll do civic work. I'll volunteer. I'll serve others. And then that connection with the familiar spirits and the spirit guide will strengthen. And little by little, we can connect with the Christ even more. And Emmanuel will tell us, it will, though, even though we have to understand the sequence of events, he says, it will, however, clearly be possible to improve ourselves with more urgency and safety. How? Do we want to improve ourselves faster? Yes, we do. Why is that? Because this may be the lifetime we have where we are fully awakened to the needs of spiritual growth, where we've quote unquote wasted, because no experience is wasted, but we spent a lot of time in the past busy and worried about the physical things. And today we are awakened to the possibilities of the growth of our spirit. So maybe today we want to improve ourselves morally, intellectually, spiritually faster. How do we do that? He says, if we adopt the practice of remaining with Jesus more and more each day. And that's why in the beginning, we were inspired to ask you, how are you feeling? How is your connection with the Christ today? More than just saying, using the name of Christ or thinking of Christ, how are we doing? How are we applying the precepts of our guide and motto in our lives? When we read the gospel, not only the gospel according to Spiritism, but the New Testament and the Old Testament, when we read the accounts of Umberto de Campos and Neo Lucio, we have there very practical tips of how the Master showed to us the possibilities of the kingdom of God in this life. He came to exemplify that. How are you using those examples to behave in your own life or in my own life? I'm going to include myself on this. And that's usually why we use we. How are we doing? Because it's about us. It's about you in your life, but it's also about everybody else. So he's going to give us some examples as in this chapters are structured this way. He'll say, intricate problems have arisen, bringing us to solutions that cannot be postponed. If we are feeling more interconnected with the Christ, we will learn to yield from ourselves by raising the question that lead us to disturbance and discord. Disrespect as a peer propelling us to retaliation. Those are examples of things that happen in our lives, right? He says, if we receive them a little bit more with Jesus, our attitudes and responses, our expressions of dislike will be dissolved in the sources of understanding and tolerance. Are you feeling disrespected? This is what we do. We receive the disrespect a little bit more with Jesus. In our attitudes and responses, these expressions of dislike or retaliation will be dissolved in the sources of understanding and tolerance. So we understand that people may disrespect us, but let's think about it. Do we wake up during the day with the objective of disrespecting anybody? Hopefully not. But we may be disrespecting and hurting folks as we go about our daily lives, not even knowing, because it's a perception that they had of something we did. So we have to flip this and think about, if I were the one disrespecting and hurting others, how would I like them to treat me? Would I like them to retaliate? Even sometimes we don't know we hurt people. Or we would like their expressions of dislike towards us to be dissolved in understanding and patience. He says, we are surprised with companions who are difficult. If we collect our obstacles, keeping our directives and dispositions a little bit more with Jesus, they will soon transform us into valuable collaborators, becoming in the end living banners of our ideas. He will continue the message now with the practical tips. And we talk about how can we receive things more and more with Jesus? How can we feel more and more connected with Jesus? How we can accept his appointments a little bit more with Jesus? First, we have to go back to this principle, question 625, where Kardec tells us Jesus is our guiding model with that precept in mind, which is one of the Spiritist principles, right? Jesus as our guiding model. Then we go and look at what did Jesus do? How did Jesus do things? So that we can apply and we can practice. Now on to sorry about that. What does Emmanuel suggest? He says at home, in the work group, in the social life, in the profession, in the ideal, or in the public life, let us try to feel, think, speak, and act a little more with the Christ and observe the results. I'm going to repeat that part. At home, in the work group, in the social life, in the profession, in the ideal, or in the public life, let us try to think, feel, speak, and act a little more with the Christ and observe the results. And what would happen? Emmanuel continues, little by little, we will perceive that the Lord does not ask us for miracles of immediate transformation or spectacles of greatness, but that we apply ourselves to the good so as to walk with him step by step in the building of our own peace. Unquote. I'm going to leave, there's a couple more things in this chapter, but I want to leave you with that idea. Try to feel, think, speak, and act a little bit more with Christ today. Being more indulgent, being kinder, smiling with your eyes, sending people love with your thoughts, being fully present when you're talking to people, not task switching between one thing to the next, but fully present and honoring where you are right now in the world. And when we feel, think, speak, and act a little bit more with Christ, the results will be positive. Because the forces of good in the universe outweigh the forces of darkness. Because darkness is just the absence of light, or in this case, the absence of knowledge, or we call evil ignorance, right? So we don't know. Maybe we didn't know until now that we needed to act in our lives, to think, to feel, to speak a little bit more with Christ. So that's our opportunity today to seek that connection with Christ. Therefore, dear friends, this was chapter 54 of the book Right Path by the Spirit Emmanuel through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. And I hope that between now and the next time we see one another with another chapter, you stay well, stay safe, take care of someone you know, and many others if you can. And until then, God willing, many, many blessings to you and your family.